Hey folks, here at OS Reviews, you're watching our video first look and a quick review of the Magic Electric 104 key gaming mechanical keyboard. This is yet another mechanical keyboard that sells for under 50 bucks on Amazon, making it a very low cost option if you want to get a budget model. It uses very typical blue switches. That seems to be the trend these days with most budget mechanical keyboards that produces a fair amount of sound, however it gives you a good audible sensation and of course tactile sensation when you are typing. Packaging here is really simple, just this very generic looking cardboard box without any logos or advertisements, and on the inside there's just the keyboard along with the instruction manual. This time there's not even a keycap remover, which is this extra tool that you tend to find, so the packaging here is again very minimal. Keyboard itself comes in just this one particular color. If we quickly turn to the manual here, it's also very simple. It's just a plug-and-play keyboard, so it works with Mac and PC, and I can tap on, again, function 1 to function 12 to access special controls to turn the lights make them brighter, as well as go through the various lighting modes. So this is a RGB backlit keyboard, just like most of these options that we've been seeing recently. The design here again is very traditional. There's not anything really super differentiating about it, but overall it looks classy, it looks discreet, and it definitely seems like a keyboard that would be priced more expensively than the price would suggest. The overall frame of the unit is made completely out of plastic, however, so there's less aluminum, there's less metal on this particular model than I would have hoped. So the edges here are not chamfered aluminum like on some other E-Element keyboards that we've seen, but rather it's piano black. It actually looks quite sleek, especially if you have it on a black desk or a glass desk, and it reflects the light and it works quite well in low light environments. But again, the build here isn't going to be quite as rich as on some more expensive options. With that being said, the base plate here, which has the Magic Elect logo and all these cutouts, is made out of a thin sheet of aluminum. So there's still a few other parts that are made out of metal. What we do find is the ability to adjust the wire. The wire itself is made out of a braided nylon material and stretches around 1.5 meters in length, which is sufficient, and it also comes with a gold-plated traditional USB design. So everything here seems to be pretty high quality from a build perspective. There's also going to be two arms that I can flip open to type at an elevated angle. If we kind of go back and take a look at the keycaps here, you can tell that they are made out of a pretty typical plastic. Overall, the sensation of typing on this keyboard feels relatively consistent. Even if I'm typing on the spacebar here and pressing at various places, it feels like the same, no matter how much weight that I exert, no matter what part of the spacebar I'm typing on. So overall, it does seem to be fairly good in terms of the overall typing performance. You do have a slight curve to the keyboard, just like most of these units that we've seen. It gets slightly lower at the center, which is slightly ergonomic, so when you're typing along, it will give you a better posture and hopefully reduce stress and strain on your fingertips. Otherwise, again, 104 keys means that we have not only a traditional QWERTY layout, but there's also that dedicated numpad, which is going to be useful for gamers as well as for people who enter numbers into Excel documents for accounting, so on and so forth. There's the arrow keys and all the function keys located on the top. So this is a very typical keycap as well as design. They're not rounded, it's not a typewriter or a specialized layout. All right, so I have the keyboard plugged into a Windows tablet or computer. You can see here that by default, all the keys are illuminated, and it still remains fairly visible when there is a bit of background lighting, but of course the effect is most dramatic when all the lights are dimmed. And from here we can really clearly see the individual keys, so if you're typing or working in the dark, it becomes a lot easier. From here we can see that we have different colors for each row, and in terms of the keys that they're using, there are a few special kind of fonts, such as the caps lock key. You can see here is symbolized by almost this looks like a simplified kind of tree logo, and of course there's the shift key, which has a bracket with the A, and you can see some other special font notations for certain letters such as the B that they're using here. So it's stylized, it's not quite as generic as some other models that we've seen in the past. I personally like it. I think it looks very cool and futuristic, and of course you can change out the keycaps if you don't like what you see here. To change the lighting modes, first of all I can tap on function, left and right to change the kind of brightness. So this is at the brightest control, so you can see these lights start to flash. I can also tap on function and SL to change the lighting modes. Right now we're on the reactive mode. That means that whatever I'm typing will light up briefly before fading out. So there's a memory feature built on here that actually works pretty well. Let's tap on function again. This is now in the kind of fade mode where it will strobe gently between these oscillating between bright and dark. Works the best as kind of a demonstration mode where you want to leave it maybe as a night light in the room rather than when you're actually typing, of course. It's not the most practical one. And again, this is another one that's for demonstration purposes that flashes between the panels, and another one that kind of reverses the flashing animation. This one goes in a spiral before starting over again. And once more, we have, again, another one that goes in this streamlined banner wave, and one more that goes in the kind of the opposite direction based on what you type on. So this is another kind of reactive mode that is a pretty cool conversation starter. Another one goes into the fully lit mode. So it's actually pretty easy to master these controls. They're fun to play around with, but the takeaway is you can definitely customize the RGB patterns that you want. At the same time, it's not the wealthiest array of modes I've seen before. Certain keyboards in the past that I've checked out seem to have a few extra modes thrown in, a few extra moving animations. There was even one that had a microphone that reacted to sound, so it was sound activated. So depending on as you're typing, as you're clapping, there's music in the background, it would flash and change things like an equalizer. So this one doesn't have quite as many fancy features built in. It's a relatively scarce modes that you can pick from, but at least it gives you that customization option. You can't change the lighting or the color of individual keys on this particular model, so it seems like all the lights have been pre-mapped, and that's something to quickly keep in mind as well. All right, so let's move into the typing experience next in terms of the sound as well as the overall performance and accuracy. As expected, since this is a very standard keyboard in terms of the layout as well as the feel and the blue switches that they're using, there's not too many surprises here. I would say that overall it's comfortable to type on. It's a full-size layout, so you'll get up to your standard typing speed after using it for, I would say, a little bit under an hour. So it's comfortable to use without too many surprises or things to take note of. So doing a quick kind of a sound test here. So you can hear that this is what it sounds like with the blue switches. Overall, it's a pretty nice overall sound, at least in my opinion. Definitely is quite loud though, so if you are in a quiet environment, such as in a shared space, in an apartment, something like that, then it's something that might not be the most ideal choice. I would recommend brown switches in that case. But on this, I think that it gives you a good overall performance and feedback ratio if you are in your own room, and the sound, in addition to the actual sensation of these keys, overall helps me, at least in terms of the accuracy of the typing. Of course, the benefits of mechanical keyboards, as I've pointed out in my previous videos, are numerous. One of them being that the longevity is a lot stronger than on a traditional membrane keyboard. Those keys will wear out and they are harder to replace. On these, you can simply, again, pull these out. You can pull up the keycaps and wash them. You can change the styling, so it should last you for 20, 30 years down the road, which makes it a great investment if you are into typing, if you're into programming, things like that. Secondly, again, you don't have to apply quite as much force because of the mechanical keys underneath. The switches are kind of like springs. You can just apply a very light force and the entire thing clicks all the way down. As a result, you can get used to typing with applying minimal force. The key switches will do the work for you, and as a result, you are able to type faster. And so this, again, will get you to improve your efficiency in typing and reach a faster words per minute, which of course will be helpful under any circumstance, from gaming to work. So again, these things are carried over even on a budget model like this. So that's pretty much it as far as our video first look hands-on review of the Magic Elec 104 key mechanical keyboard. It's not the most exciting model that we've seen, but it does have a very classy, kind of understated look, which I'm a fan of. It seems like something that's much more expensive, maybe that Razer would produce. It doesn't have quite as few extras as I've seen in recent days, such as more lighting modes, more fancy lighting modes, the ability to calibrate each individual key to a specific color, or the use of more metal. But with that being said, it does have a very solid construction quality. It has a great, durable, kind of a USB wire that can be adjusted in many different ways, and the overall sensation of typing on the unit is good, is comfortable. I can reach a pretty good words per minute just by using it right out of the box, and all the overall switches feel consistent as well as tactile, and they feel, again, very evenly distributed when you're testing it out. So overall, a pretty interesting keyboard if you are on a budget, but you do want a mechanical one to maybe try out first, maybe add to a collection to give to a friend or family member. This is definitely a solid offering. Is it better than some of the E-Element mechanical keyboards? Well, it depends. This one definitely has the most understated look out of all the units that I've seen. It has a pretty small bezel size, doesn't have a palm or a wrist pad for typing, but everything is in this very cool tone. The keycaps and the fonts themselves are also has this kind of slightly altered layout, but in terms of the overall performance, very similar to E-Element, but E-Element has a slightly flashier design, slightly more features, but if you're not into that particular look, then this might be a better choice. So thanks for watching this video here at OS Reviews. This has been the Magic Elec 104 key mechanical keyboard.